numerical part with me. Like we have given unbalanced assignment problem is there. So first of all, note down that it's the case of unbalanced assignment problem. Just making the Excel in a bigger size. Write it over here. Unbalanced. We have job C, and then we have job number D. So what we have find over here, this is a question of unbalanced assignment problem. How we indicate this? Because we have the worker category of 3, but if I'm talking about the job, we have the 4 jobs. So we came to know with this question that we have a problem of unbalanced assignment problem. As we all know, whenever there is an unbalanced assignment problem, we first convert the unbalanced assignment problem into a balance by creating a dummy worker over here. Right? So first we write it the case what is provided to you, and the cost matrix over here is 18, 24, 28, and for the job D is 32. Right? For the worker 2, we have given the information is 8, where next one is your 13, next one is your 17, and the next one 19. When we are talking about the worker 3 is having a 10, 15, 19, and the next one is 22. So this is the cost matrix which is given to you. Just first we would find out a dummy one. So put it over here. Copy all these values of the cost matrix of workers and job. Copy, paste over there, and put one worker over here as in a dummy. Yes, you have to create a dummy worker, so write it as in a worker 4. In bracket, you can write it as it is a dummy. So in bracket, write it D. That make you remember that this is a dummy part, right? And when we are talking about the dummy, I hope you remember the cost for the dummy always to be considered as 0. So write it as 0 in all the column, right? In all the rows we have written as in a 0. Why we have written 0? Because the value is always taken to be as in a 0 when we are talking about the dummy one. Now my point is that which worker should be given which assignment job, so that my cost transport my assignment cost should be minimum, right? So now I'm taking about my main objective. What is my main objective over here? And what we have to find? We have to find out the value of this assignment. So write it over here. Unbalanced question, unbalanced assignment converted into balanced. How we converted this into a balance? By creating a dummy row bracket. That means you created a dummy worker over here, and the worker is 4, right? You have created a dummy worker and the name for that dummy worker is 4. So write it over here as 4, bracket close, right? Now what we have to find it? We have to find their matrix, right? The volume we actually find out the which worker should be done which work. Now as we have discussed earlier also, when the worker 1 is doing one job, then he will not able to do the work of the other part. So keeping remember point that if the worker 1 is given a job number 1, definitely he will not do the rest of the working, right? So that means if I'm taking it over here as an 1, if I'm putting it 1, definitely the next one will be 0, other job will be 0, and same with this 0. And if it is 0, then the worker 1 is going for the job A, so worker B will be 0, worker 3 will be 0, and if I'm talking about worker 4, that is also to be 0, right? Same scenario will happen in all the cases. Like if I'm taking my worker 3 is doing a job number 3, that will be 1, definitely. Then the rest one will be 0. So putting all the values as 0 for the rest one, this one, and for this also it is 0. If I'm talking about this 0, and this is also 0. So this is the case you have to remember. What we find it over here, that the sum, if I'm talking about the row sum, so write it as over here, row sum, that is the sum of all the rows, is equals to sum. We have to find out the sum is bracket, and here is total bracket code, right? Sum of all these values should be equal to the work which is given up, and you all know that it should sum will be always be the equal. What with sum, this value should always be come up as an equal to what? For what value you are finding this value to be equal? This value should be come up in the supply part. That means Supply over here, that is the sum total of this, and it is always to be 1, 1, 1, 1. The worker can go for the one job only. Same condition, come over here, find out the column total, column sum, write down over here, column sum, right, is equals to sum bracket of all the workers together, bracket close, total up, coming 0 right now, and put it over, copy and paste. So what we find, we have to check it that this value always be equals to 1, right? So we can write it also over here, write over this, that the main value, that this value is always be to come up 1, right? So write it 1, 1, 1 and 1. Right? And the most important, the last point, that is the objective function. So write it as an objective function. The objective function of your assignment is always to assign the product or cost in such a way so that your cost is always being less. Is equals to use the concept of sum product, because we have to multiply the cost with the volume. So sum product multiply by this cost array, right? Select it with this quantity array, which we have to find it, close the bracket and enter. Here it come as 0. Why? Because we have to find this value. As well as we have to find the value of all these jobs. So I'm highlighting this value because we have to find this value, right? Now checking out with the help of a solver, are we able to find all this value? Go to the menu and there is a data over here. Click on the data, solver will come up, right? And then we have to find the set the objective. My objective is over here. Click on this. Now find it. What we have to find to what? Minimum or maximum? Yes, we have to select minimum. What we have to change? By changing the variable, that's a volume quantity. So select this array right from this to this area. But again, we have some subject constraint. Subject to the constraint, add. Now select this row sum. This row sum should always be equals to 1. So 1 by 1 also we can do, or select all together. Remember this scroll down value is there is equal. What should be equal to? This constraint shall always be equal to this supply, right? Add the next constraint. What is the next constraint? That this sum total column sum is always being equal to what? The constraint that is always equal to 1. One more constraint is there. That constraint is, hope you remember, the most important constraint, that this array of the volume or the quantity which are finding up, that should be equal to bin. Bin, that indicates the binary. Click on the OK. Now check the dialog box is there. Make unconstrained variable. Selecting a solving method. Which solving method you are selecting? Write it over here as a simplex LP. Right. Then go for the next point. In the last, it is coming up the solver. Click on the solver and see the dialog box is there, and that's a happy information provided by this Excel that the solver found the solution. All the constraints are optimality conditions are satisfied. So then clicking on that, keep the solver solution. Yes, I want to keep the solver solution. Click on OK and check the result, what the result is showing up. Yeah, it's showing 1,0,0,0,0,1,0,0. So it indicates the value which worker should be provided which job, as well as they provided you the objective function, that is 50. So this is with the help of the solver, we easily assign the worker to which job so that my transportation cost will be come up.